Hey, Kelsey, Norm MacDonald here. So, you have a podcast, huh? Fantastic. You know what I always say? You know what the world needs more of? Podcasts.
Live from the Screwball Whiskey Studios, The Kelsey Hudgins Show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going? Live from the Screwball Whiskey Studios, indeed. SKREW, ballwhiskey.com. Tomorrow's stories begin right here. Hashtag Get Screwed, at Get Screwed on Twitter, at Screwball Whiskey on Instagram, hashtag Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Go out and get yourself a couple bottles of Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. All other peanut butter whiskeys are posers. Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey is the one and only original peanut butter whiskey. And I have to tell you, I've been doing a couple gigs lately that has people that drink the other, the other peanut butter whiskeys because of whatever reason they might say. But one that I've heard a couple times is because they're like, well, Screwball Whiskey seems like a pretty big company, Seems like you see them everywhere. It's a pretty big company. But I have to let you know that Screwball Whiskey only employs 9 people in the entire company. So, anyhow, sunlight through the blinds. That's right. Real, live sunlight. I don't care. We're doing natural light in here. I didn't turn any other lights on. Maybe I should turn some more lights on, huh? What do you think? Who cares? Anyway, go get yourself a couple bottles of Screwball. You wish you had 2 if you only had 1. And as always, drink Screwball whiskey responsibly. Yeah, maybe we'll turn on a little bit more light. Hang on just a second. Let me go hit another light bulb here. That'll work, right? That works, right? Okay. All right, well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this nonsense. I had something specific that I wanted to talk about today. That's right. Pot roast got man's inspired. Ayo. I see you, Valish. I'm also live on Instagram right now as well. And I was just giving the Instagram folks the behind the scenes of how this thing gets set up and all of that nonsense. So I'm not going to be live on Instagram the whole time. So if you are on Instagram watching, please come to YouTube or Twitch or wherever else if you want to see the rest of the show. Anyhow, so I have been streaming a lot from my Twitch, but what I have been streaming is I've been streaming music. I've been streaming my live shows lately, and I feel like maybe I have oversaturated my own market by streaming so much lately, and I am going to explain why I am still going to continue to stream every gig on Twitch. And this may come off as a little narcissistic, which I don't care if it does or not, but the truth is that I've been doing live music literally my whole life pretty much. Even when I was a kid, my granddad would tune a little acoustic guitar to an open tuning, like an open E or something like that, and give me a butter knife to play and then slide the butter knife for whatever chords that I wanted. And he showed me how to do it, and it really, I think, lit the fire under me to play music as a young kid. But I've literally been playing music my whole life, and I'm in my mid-30s now, so that means that I've got more than 30 years experience of performing live in front of people, and that's a fact. because literally, like, I've been singing in front of people. I've been doing things like trying to make people laugh for my whole life. Here's where the narcissistic part comes in. So I'm pretty good at it. Like, I'm pretty good at performing, right? I mean, I've been doing it a long fucking time. I've put in my time. I know what I'm doing. And I'm good at running a room. And not only am I good at running a room, I was good at running a room, honestly, just a couple years into doing this professionally, which I've been doing this professionally for a decade now. And I've been doing it semi-professionally for 15 to 20 years. So with 15 to 20 years of experience in doing something like this professionally, you get even better at it when you were already good. And what I am doing is I am going to Austin. Obviously, I've told you guys, if you guys are watching this, you've probably seen my other episodes. If you haven't, I'm moving to Austin in October. And this is going to be potentially, I don't know, I might be back next year if Austin doesn't work out in the wintertime and I feel a need to come back. I will. So there is a chance that this could be my last summer playing music in Myrtle Beach. And I am letting everyone who comes out to see me, or all the fans, or anybody who enjoys seeing me live, I've been letting them know the whole time that this could be my last little rodeo in this area. So to make sure to come out and see it. But the reason that I'm streaming every single gig is because I want to literally document this, because I think that in my performing and in my performances that I've reached peak potential. You know what I mean? I've reached my or not potential, but I've reached peak performance in what I'm doing here. So I literally wanted to document I wanted to document everything that I'm doing this year. And that results in me having just oodles of videos that I've downloaded from a Twitch stream. By the way, on the Twitch, if you guys want to watch me do any of my live shows, twitch.tv/yonderwizard. And please, yeah, go do that if you want. And anyway, long story short, the reason I'm streaming all of these is so I can have documentation of all of these shows that I've performed this last year, maybe to use the footage for something or whatever. Or I've just got so many shows. I've got months worth of shows, minus a couple when I had some issues this past week. Oh, by the way, this past week I was having issues streaming on Twitch because I couldn't connect at the venues or whatever. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me what it was. And I got so pissed off at Verizon because I was like, there's no way I've used all of my data. Like, I'm not able to connect at all. Like, this is bullshit. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I said, went and tweeted them. I added them on Instagram. Like, I went the whole shebang with Verizon. And when I got there, when I came to the realization of what was actually going on, I realized that when I came back from Austin, my card had reported some fraudulent charges. And after I got that notification, I had to get another card, and I never updated my card. So I simply just hadn't paid my bill. And it was kind of embarrassing. It was pretty embarrassing, and I realized that I had done wrong. So I went back in the comments of all of the posts that I had made and made everything right with the folks that I'd complained to. And it was kind of funny. But anyway, I figured out that problem. But that was just a sidebar in this story. Anyway, I was wondering, because on my Twitch streams, I have one person watching usually, and it's Valish usually. So I'm literally streaming for Valish usually on Twitch. And I was thinking, man, this has to be boring. My shows are different, and no two shows are ever the same, but they're very similar. All of them are very similar, and that has to be boring to watch regularly. It has to be. And I appreciate you, Valish, for just leaving me playing in the background when you go off and do whatever, just so I have a view going there and I have the stream time. I appreciate that, and I know that's what it is. But I feel like, man, I could be getting so much more action on Twitter or on Twitch if I would just not shove it down their throats every day. Like every single day you could watch it. So that means, why would I watch it today? He's going to stream again tomorrow. I'll just watch tomorrow. And I think a lot of folks have that. And yeah, it is the banner in between songs. That's the only part that's really different. The songs are relatively the same because most people want to hear all of the same stuff. And depending on what kind of mood I'm in, depends on what kind of music I'm going to play that day. And if I just keep doing this and keep oversaturating the market, which is basically what I've been doing, and or my own market, and I just don't think it's going to be fun for people to watch. So I had that thought, and I was like, shit, should I start streaming just like once a week or even less than that? And then I thought, man, no, because I'm really good at what I do. Like, I'm not trying to pin any. Fuck it. I am trying to pin roses on myself because I'm fucking good at what I do. And I want to have documentation of everything that I've done this past year. I want to have an entire season in Myrtle Beach. I want to have an entire season's worth of gigs. And I pretty much have that this year because I've been streaming everything for a while. So I am still very much involved in streaming every gig, and I will continue to do that to the end of the summer. And for anybody who says, yeah, well, maybe you should, let it breathe, man, put some air between it. This is why. It's because I want all of this content. I want all this content recorded. And not only that, sometimes, man, in the room that I'm in, and Valish watches virtually every show, he can vouch for this. Sometimes, dude, I'll do a whole set and get not a single clap. I will do an entire set, sometimes a whole show, and people just don't care. So that at that point, I have to, in my mind, think, well, you know what? There's people out there who would enjoy this, and they can watch it live on this stream, or after it streams, they can watch it again. And I do get a pretty decent amount of views on the shows after I stream them. And I do end up feeling like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, what's the point of this? And like, I'm literally just trying to shove myself in. I'm trying to shove myself in front of these people too much. And yes, playing for the ghosts. I have several family members that I have lost in my life, and they were very influential to me. And sometimes, man, when I'm just playing up there for them, I'm playing for what they can hear. Like, what if my granddad was here? What would my granddad like to see me do? Or what if my Aunt Marie was here? What would she like to see me do? And, there's a scene in Ray, if you've ever seen that movie, where Ray is sitting at the piano and he can't think of what to do. He asks the crowd, what do y'all want to hear? And nobody answers. Nobody cares because he's just wallpaper. And that's, by the way, that's what we call it. We call it wallpaper. It's like you're just wallpaper. You're there, like you're noticeable, I guess, but you're just there. People don't like. You're not the coup de grace. Is that the right way to? Not coup de grace. Is that the right thing to say? I don't know if I've ever used that term before. Did I use it correctly? I don't care. You're wallpaper at those gigs. But Ray was at this thing. What do y'all want to hear? Nobody said anything. And then in his mime, it's an image of his mom going, how about a little Nat King Cole? And he goes, well, how about a little Nat King Cole? And he just goes into it. And then everybody in the room starts reacting to what he did. So sometimes, and then I guess the telling part of what that scene is that sometimes if you just think of something that somebody means, Ned Jones, if somebody means something to you and you can play for them in your mind, you're going to play harder. And that's going to be noticeable throughout all of the crowd at all of your shows. So I feel like that just having the Twitch there, thinking of like, oh, what if the ghosts of my ancestors are here watching me right now? What would they want to hear? And I do that. But I basically just wanted to give an explanation on that and just let everybody know why I felt the need to stream all of this stuff. And I not only stream the Twitch, but I'm live on camera in the Discord pretty much all day. And I love that. I love the thought of being on film. I love the thought of being filmed and having bits of me there forever. You know, like having just bits of me that are in people's minds where they know what I do day in and day out. And it honestly, it comforts me in a weird way. And I don't know how to explain that or think that I should. But it's comforting to me to know that I'm being watched. If that is as weird as it sounds, my most comfortable position is on a stage in front of people being looked at. So if I can turn every place that I am into a stage, I'm going to do that because that's what makes me comfortable. And I don't care what people think about that or when people say, oh, well, maybe you should back off of that a little bit, go outside and live your life. Then, you know what, man? I go outside and live my life plenty. I have to for work. And I have to go to all of these different places all the time and do these shows in different situations all the time. Like, I'm already doing that. And not only that, live your life and let me live mine, like just I want to do things this way. What's up, buddy Nugs? I see Dave Sarah in the house. Ned Jones. But I want to live my life the way that I want to, man. And like, I'm a fucking weirdo. Like, I don't know if any of my family's watching this at all, but a lot of the people who like know me know that I'm just a strange person. And the people who kind of think they know me, they'll be like, yeah, he's pretty weird. But you don't know. You don't know me. You don't really know me. My sisters, my brother, my dad, my stepmom, those are the people who know me. Like, they know how truly weird I am because they saw it from an early age of where I just didn't want to. I was an inside cat. I was one of the generation of kids who, you played outside and like you went outside and I've never been that kid. Like, never. Not once, dude. I've never been that kid. I always sat inside. I watched movies. I played with my toys. I had a vivid imagination. I did what I wanted to do as a kid. And I do the same thing now. In fact, I've said this in countless episodes of MI Stuff podcast, which, by the way, some of you guys should go back and watch some of the episodes of the MI Stuff because there's a lot of gems in there in those interviews and a lot of those solo talks where I have a lot of epiphanies about who I am and just learn things about myself live on the air. So you should go back and watch a few of those if you ever get a wild hair. But no, man, like, I have always been very much inside my own head, and I very much I'm very comfortable in my mind palace, and it is vast. I stole that term from the series Hannibal. Hannibal Lecter says that about himself in the series Hannibal, not in the movie, where he says my mind palace is vast. And then they go into a description of what that is for him. And he described perfectly what I feel in my own mind is where I stay in my own head, in my imagination. I've always been that person. And I'm just more comfortable in my own head, which is, and I understand not everybody is like that, which is another reason why I'm so, and I guess I should be more understanding that everybody isn't like me. But that's another reason why I'm so adamant about people who constantly have to have weird little distractions, like constantly listening to music or whatever it is, just like they have to have these little weird distractions to get out of their own head, because I think it is so healthy to make sure to know what's in your head. Dude, you live in here, bro. You don't keep things in your house that would hurt you, right? Well, that might not be the best example. You have yeah, I hear you, buddy. We have things in our heads that constantly seek out to hurt us. They intend to hurt us. Things that want to make us feel less than, or things that want to attack us or whatever. And these things actively seek out ways to bring us pain and discomfort, or whatever you want to call it. You wouldn't keep those things in your house, correct? If something in your house was constantly trying to hurt you, you would figure out a way. This is not going to work. I can't live in these conditions. I'm going to have to remove this thing and figure out a way to get rid of it. Well, your brain is where you truly live. Your house is just a shell of a thing to keep your stuff. You live inside your head. Everything that you ever experienced, all the people that you know, everyone in your life, everything that you've ever been a part of, you've experienced through your own perception, through your head. The person standing next to you has a completely different experience than you've had because they're a different person. So we live first in our heads before anywhere else. Are you with me? Good. So if you have something in your head that you have to use all of these other things to distract you from, then that problem is constantly there. So if you don't figure out a way to get inside your head and clean all of this shit up, you're going to fail in the long run. Like, that is not sustainable. That thing that keeps coming back will constantly keep coming back unless you figure out a way to combat it. And that is what I have done for so long. And that's another reason why I'm so adamant about folks that are just using things all the time to distract them. And I know what you're thinking. Well, Kelsey, don't you constantly have Jurassic Park playing in your room all the time? And yes, I do. And Kelsey, don't you constantly have to sit on Discord voice chat with everybody there? Is that not a means of distraction? Could be. But for what folks don't know, before I started doing all of this stuff, is the hours that I would spend in my house by myself in silence. Because I know that I have problems. I still have, but I had a lot more problems that I needed to work out. Things that happened to me when I was a child, things that I had just suppressed in my memory because I just spent so much time drinking and getting hammered and doing drugs and whatever have you. I spent a lot of time doing that and dealing with that and working out my emotions and finally getting to the point where I could lay down at night and fall asleep. And I've always said this thing, like, you are the only one that's going to be laying on the pillow every night with you. You're the only one that's going to be there every night when you're trying to fall asleep. And you should be happy with that person. And if you're not happy with that person, all the distractions and all of the other things that you do, they're not going to make you any better. All of those other things, all they're going to do is push it to the side. And when you push it to the side, it gets stronger because you push it and it's like, well, I'm going to push back harder. And you push it away and then it gets stronger and comes back. And it's going to keep doing that until you figure out a way to unpack all this stuff. And a lot of people use therapy and things like that to go through these issues. But people are really underestimating the power of their own minds. Like, if your mind is strong enough to put you in these negative, and man, I spend most of my time there. If your mind is strong enough to put you in these negative situations, can it not be strong enough to figure out a way to prevent those things? Like, this is the same. Your mind, the mind is a weapon, man. And it is a vicious one. And if you don't figure out a way to find where the trigger is, it's just going to fire off at will. And that's literally what happens. I think it's pouring ass rain right now, is it? Feels like rain. I kind of wanted to open up the blinds and let you guys see some rain, but it's fine. But no, man, like I am a very, very I'm just. And like I said, I realize that everyone isn't like me. Everyone doesn't have the problems that I have, the mental issues that I've dealt with throughout my life, or the situations that I've dealt with that led to these mental issues. Not everyone has had those things happen to them, but I have. And I see too many similarities between myself and other people that I interact with on even a daily basis, or even so much as just someone that I might see that comes to some of my shows or whatever. But I just notice all too often that people use too many other things to sweep actual problems under the rug instead of dealing with them. And unknown to themselves will hurt other people and inconvenience other people's mentalities and alter other people's mentalities because they cannot deal with their own problems. And I hate that so much, man. That breaks my heart to think that folks can't figure out a way to deal with their own problems, and they have to inconvenience other people in their lives to work through things that they could work through themselves. Oh, what's up, Amy? I see you out there on Instagram. But yes, this is just this is a really, really sad situation that I see too many people go through. And man, the reason I started this podcast was so that people could learn from my mistakes, because I've made a fuckload of them. And not to, you know what? I'm going to do away with the not to pin roses on myself, because if I say something about myself, I think it's fucking true. I'm very good at working through my own problems and finding out how to get through my own shit. I'm very good at that. So I don't want anyone else to have to deal with these problems without some sort of what's the word I want to use here? Guidance. I don't want people to have to go through these problems without dealing with some sort of guidance. And you know what? I've fucking been there, and I know what it's like. And I've come through the other side. Because then once you realize who you really are, you can finally take hold of your life. And you know what? Sometimes maybe you might have needed somebody to say, or sometimes you might have needed somebody there to just distract you, or something there just to distract you, or whatever it is, just to realize, oh, you know what? Well, if that was so easy to distract myself, then, you know, maybe this problem isn't as bad as I thought it was. And I can figure out a way to make this work and to get over it on my own. And for those people that works for, that's great. And I'm happy for you. But all too often do people get into these situations and they go to somebody and say, I have this problem and I need someone to help me figure it out. And I have people, dude, I'm telling you right now, Andrew Vallish that is always in the chat for Twitch, watches every single show, runs the Kill Tony Discord along with me. He has talked me off of I don't know how many hypothetical cliffs because I have issues, and I had issues that I just couldn't handle on my own. And once I would but here's what I learned from all of that. And I haven't even been hitting him up lately because I came to this realization that, like, dude, you're saying everything just because you're saying it in a chat or in a message to him. Like, just read what you're saying. Okay, now let's imagine if Vallish wasn't here. What would you do then? Well, I guess I would just think about it. I think I would put all this shit on the table and think about it myself. And that's what I've been doing. I've been putting all this stuff on a table and thinking about it myself and using my own brain power to come to whatever conclusion about things that I come to. And man, it's just, and yes, they do. And I see you chatting over here, buddy. I was trying to stay in my train of thought because if I start reading too much, I'll lose my whole train of thought. But 100%, most people are not conscious. That's a fact. A lot of people are just bumbling through this life, just doing the things that the commercials on television say do, watching these reality shows that give a false impression of what life is supposed to be. And man, it's now, buddy, for sure, if you have a wife of 17 years that helps you, like, that's someone you've chosen to go through this life with. And I don't have a way to speak on that because I'm pretty sure a lifelong single. Pretty sure. I mean, not that I wouldn't like to have a family one day or whatever. I don't know if it's for me. And I'm just so weary of having to rely on other people or other things to get me through shit, because for so long I would just pour myself into whatever television series I would binge or whatever movie I wanted to watch over and over and over and over. And I would let that take me away from the life I was in. But whenever the movie would go off, the life and the problems are still there. And oh, for sure. And that's true, buddy. That's 100% true. And I guess the problem that I'm speaking of and is there's nothing wrong with going to a friend for help. But whenever going to a friend for help results in that friend like becoming jaded and just then your problems end up spilling into their lives and your problems become their problems. That's not fair. And I've seen this happen so many times with so many people who are just so who can't just chill and work out the shit in your head. You don't have to go around looking for someone to be with or someone to break you out of this stuff, because that search is never going to end. Because people leave, man. People do not people and things leave. Those things are not sustainable. And in this day and age, and yeah, you know what? Once upon a time, you could meet somebody and, oh, this is going to work out well, and I like this, and then you find out that this is worth compromising certain things that I want in my life for. And then it gets to the point where, you know what, I don't want to compromise this thing about my life anymore. And then you stop doing that. And the other person says, well, I thought I knew who you were. And you're like, oh, well, this is who I really am. I was just doing the other thing because of you, because I thought that you were worth me compromising things about myself. And then that becomes whatever kind of situation that you're in. And now you're hurt, they're hurt, and any other person who has to deal with, oh, well, who am I going to hang out with now? I'm friends with both of them, blah, 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 blah. You know, you've affected so many other people now. And that's just such an irresponsible thing to do. And absolutely, energy vampires are the worst. And it's even worse when they don't realize that they're an energy vampire. And I know people who are just, some nice, very nice people will help you at the drop of a dime and just loving people. But man, just suck all of the energy out of the room. Just every single bit of energy that you have, they'll just take it away from you. And absolutely not purposefully, because they're good people and they're nice and they really do have good hearts, but just suck the energy out of the room naturally and rob energy away from you. And that's not fair. And that's, dude, that's a lot of the reason why I spend a lot of my time by myself, because I, unlike most people, am very, very susceptible to those sort of energies, and those sorts of people just jump out at me. Like, I notice it before everybody else notices it. And usually I'll call it out, and I'll say it maybe to a select few people, like, this person's going to be a problem. Just a heads up. This one will be a problem. And I mean, you know what, man? I got a pretty fucking good record of being able to call when somebody like that is around. And I'm usually pretty spot on about it. Not, and like I said, like not anything against any of these people, but I just notice things so quick, and it takes everybody else so long to notice these things. And I know that about myself. And sure, narcissistic, maybe. But my track record fucking speaks for itself. And I'm rarely wrong when it comes to my assessment of people. And man, I just feel very, very, I feel very shitty about seeing somebody go through these things, not knowing that, dude, what you're doing is prolonging your problems. All you're doing is spreading your problems elsewhere. You're just giving your problems to somebody else. And if you find somebody that's good, that can be trusted, and you don't have to worry about what you say to this person because you know it's not going any further than that, and you find that person, then by all means, let them help you through your shit. But don't make that your whole MO in life. Like, don't make everything in your life like a problem you have to go to that person with. Like, don't create problems where there aren't problems. And I have a issue with that sometimes because I'm so good at solving problems. Sometimes I'll create a problem where there isn't one yet, but there potentially could be in the future, so that I can figure out a way to solve this problem before it becomes a problem. And sometimes in trying to solve this problem before it becomes a problem, I might shine light on that situation to somebody else. And they're like, oh, you know what? I hadn't even thought about that being a thing. How did you even come to that conclusion? And I don't know. That's just how my brain works. I weigh out everything to a ridiculous extent. Like, I don't just think one step or two steps ahead. I am miles ahead in the way that I think about things. And just, I can't help but over prepare myself for things because I'm so weird when things turn out a way that I hadn't projected or predicted, not projected, or both of those words work there. I'm so weird if something goes a way that I didn't expect. So I have to, in my mind, go down the list of all the things that are possible and all the things that could happen. Because if any of those things do happen, I've already mentally prepared myself for not having a meltdown. Because I'm prone to meltdowns. So when things go the way that I don't expect, and it's something that I haven't thought about, yeah, I'll have a meltdown. And in that moment, I'll say, man, I don't know, what am I getting wrong here? Only when I can't figure out a problem myself will I go to Brother Valish and say, what am I getting wrong here? What have I done wrong? Like, obviously there's an issue here that I can't figure out on my own. Like, what is it? I need fresh eyes on this situation. And in that, by all means, go to your friends whenever you truly need them. But first, just sit down quietly by yourself with no music, with no television, just a quiet room by yourself, and think. Just as dumb as it sounds, use your head. Use your brain. Your brain is powerful, man. Use it. You can figure out a way. 9 times out of 10, if you do that, every time you have a problem, you will come out of the other side feeling better and more powerful because you have stood up against this enemy by yourself and figured out a way to come out on the other side. You will gain power from that. Now, if it's the kind of thing to where it's like, dude, I can't deal with sitting by myself, man. I'm just alone in my thoughts. It's not a good thing. I have to have something else going on. Then dude, figure out what it is in your head that makes that. What is it in your head that makes that a necessity? Because that's where your real problem is. All these other little itty bitty problems are just things that the big problem, which is basically the puppeteer for everything that you do in your life, because then you're living for that problem to try and combat that. And I'm guilty of it too, man. My problem is anxiety. That's my biggest problem. And I figured out a way to combat that. And the way that I do that is to limit myself on, when it's time to go home, I go home. And when my brain says, okay, we can't be here anymore, we can't be there anymore. And then, you know what? We just leave. But I don't inconvenience anybody else. Or I take that back. I try my best, and I'm very mindful about the effects that bringing my problems into someone else's world has on them. And I don't ever, my biggest thing is I used to be aggravating as a kid. I used to get on everybody's nerves. And that was just one of the things that I heard as a kid. God, you're just so aggravating. Why are you aggravating me? I don't want to aggravate anybody. I don't want to bother anybody. And I know that sometimes the stuff that I do gets aggravating and it gets bothersome, but I'm very mindful about not doing that. And I try to be, like I said. But man, I really suggest that if you ever have these issues in your mind that you feel like you can't work through, that before you go and spread this issue further than it needs to be spread, that you take the time to sit by yourself and in silence, absolute silence, and just think. That's meditation, right? That's basically meditation, is what I'm telling you to do, is just meditate on it. And the only reason I don't say meditate is because I'm not one of those guys. I don't, like, everybody's like, oh man, I can't clear my mind, and that's not what meditation is about. Meditation isn't about clearing, it isn't about clearing your mind. It's about mindful, absolutely. It's about being mindful of the things that are existing inside your own brain. That's what meditation is, in my opinion, is just going inside your brain, taking out all of the boxes in there and dumping everything out into the floor and then reorganizing everything. Sometimes that takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes an hour. But you believe me on this. Trust me with this. You will find that if you sit alone in silence with your thoughts start with just 5 minutes, man, you will be amazed at the power that your brain possesses that you don't harness. And that becomes addicting. That power becomes addicting. And you already have it in you, so you should use it anyway. I don't even know how I got into this, but I think this all resulted from me talking about like being on film all the time and constantly being on camera and trying to document parts of my life. So, yeah, I guess I am one of those guys. But seriously, I'm not one of those guys. So, like, I'm not going to sit there and dude, like, I'm a fucking hippie just like the next guy, man. Dude, I recycle all my shit. I use organic soaps and things like that. Like, I don't have any aluminum sulfate in my deodorant. I don't listen to mainstream media news or mainstream media music or any sort of mainstream media. I don't really take in a lot of mainstream stuff. Dude, I'm as hippie as the next guy. I keep crystals in my pocket as well. But you know what? I fucking know I'm not going to go out there and act like I'm a fucking 20-something-year-old on Instagram that's just trying to do peace, love, and all of this nonsense, because all of that stuff's been hijacked by posers. I'm not a fucking poser. All this stuff's been hijacked by people who want you to think that they're woke. And I'm using woke in the way that Buddy Nuggs uses it. For the people who are mindful, to the people who know they're conscious, the people who are absolutely conscious, who are aware. Those people, like the people who those are the people who have hijacked truly what I'm trying, and like the stuff that I do for real. I'll give you a prime example, and I've been saying this a lot. Valishkin, Tibetan singing champion. Yeah, sure. Okay, so I've been saying this a lot lately. You see what I look like, dude. I'm wearing these. I got this up here and a hoodie most of the time. I'm wearing flip-flops and shorts and whatever have you. So I'm from the country. And other than my voice and some of the songs that I play, there ain't a whole lot of people who look at the things that I do, like Twitch streaming, Discord, all of this stuff. There's not a lot of people who would pin the things that I do to a country person, because in the country, these are the people who have to have their trucks a different level in the front than in the back. Or these are the people who have to have a spit cup in their console. Or they have to go out mudding every Friday night. Or they have to literally be as dumb as they come in the way that they speak. They can't enunciate. They can't use big words because, oh, that means you're a faggot, or whatever else they want to say to country people, or whatever. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about here. Is this is what peak country looks like, because I'm from the country. It's not the stuff that they tell you it's supposed to be. It's not the, switching analogies, it's not the 27-year-old on Instagram who's posting pictures of the sunflowers with the floppy hats. And by the way, I know a lot of you do that. Don't take any offense to this. It's just a fucking analogy. It's not all of these things that make you conscious or mindful. Your Instagram posts aren't going to do that. Like, and showing everybody else that you do this thing isn't going to be what makes that happen for you. That only happens inside your head. Like, it only occurs inside your head, man. And just like the thing I said earlier, your entire life, all of the things that you feel, everything that you experience happens first inside your head. Please don't be the person who lets your life happen outside of your head first. Like, and I don't want this to be misunderstood. I'll leave it to beach, buddy. You gotta give me a pass on the flip-flops, dude. I don't want this to be misunderstood. I'm not telling you to spend all of your time inside your own head, to not go out in life and experience things. I want you to absolutely go out in life and experience all the things that you want to experience. But when you go out and experience these things, you're experiencing them from your perception, which is in your head first. Don't ignore that. Don't ignore the fact that this is all happening inside your head. Dumbledore said to Harry, is this real, or is this all, or Harry said to Dumbledore, is this real, or is it all happening inside my head? And Dumbledore says, of course it's all happening inside your head, Harry. But why does that mean that it's not real? Because that's very real. Anything in your mind that you can conceive is a very real thought and very real feeling that so many people ignore and just skate past because they have been hurt by their own thoughts, or whatever it is that has occurred in their life that makes them not want to pay attention to their own thoughts. Whatever that is, I hate it, and I feel so bad for these people, and that's why I want to say things like I've said in this episode to maybe help them work through some of the shit that they're dealing with in their lives. And that's really that's the core at what I do, is even if I'm being rude or brash about something, in my mind, I'm trying to help. I'm here to help, dude. That's constantly my MO, is I'm here to help people. And if, you know what, man, sometimes people just need to hear some of the shit that I say that comes off as rude or brash or whatever. But you know what? Sometimes people need to fucking hear that shit to make them realize, oh, this isn't gonna fix itself. This problem isn't going anywhere. I'm the only one that can do something about this, so I'm going to. Sometimes people just need that nudge into the ether to get you to understand where your mentality has been lacking, and sometimes you just need that. Sometimes you really need a firm hand, a firm word. All I'm saying is that sometimes people aren't going to hear these things from themselves until they hear it from you. And dude, I'm sorry, but I take it on myself. I take it on myself to be that person. So anyway, I don't know the story of the peacock and the lion, buddy, but you should link it to me. We're coming up on an hour, and I wanted to keep this one around an hour. I've consistently trying to release content for my podcast, not just the Twitch streams for the gigs, but I'm really trying to do the podcast more. I haven't been putting as much time into this, and honestly, I don't spend as much time doing these as I should, and these help me so much because I get a chance to sit here by myself in silence and speak out loud the things that I'm thinking, so that I can learn more about myself, because that's the goal, is to learn who you are. Percy, I see you, Carrie, on Instagram. So yeah, I think that should be everybody's goal, is to learn more about yourself, learn what you do, learn your quirks. You know, if your glove box in your car doesn't close, if you slam it, you're going to have to slam it every time. Your brain works the same way. Sometimes you need to figure out what that equivalent is to slamming the glove box door for your brain. Is that the analogy I'm going to leave it on? Maybe. Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, I'll leave you with this. Don't inconvenience people for problems that you can handle by sitting by yourself and working through it in your mind. If it's something you can't work out on your own, then go to a friend. But don't inconvenience them, and don't throw your whole problem into their face, and just don't be rude or selfish about doing that. Like, be mindful of how your problem is going to affect someone else. And you know what, man? A problem shared is a problem doubled. Everybody, like, that's been a thing people have said for years. Just, I guess I'm going to leave you with this. Be mindful about your own shit. You know? That's funny. Kerry just slammed his glove box right before I said that. Nice. So I guess that was a good analogy to leave it on there, Percy. So, yes. Just be mindful of your own situation and try to take matters into your own hands more often than not. Like, I think that's necessary, dude. I really think that's necessary to do, and I think you will be happy that you did that. I think you will be very satisfied with yourself if you do those things. So, anyway. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share it. I want to try to get up to 1,000, dude. I'm a little more than halfway there. Help me get to 1,000. Go follow me on Instagram at Yonder Wizard, Twitch, Yonder Wizard, Twitter, Yonder Wizard. I'm Yonder Wizard everything. And you see this at the bottom of the screen right here, ladies and gentlemen? Screwballwhiskey.com. Tomorrow's stories begin right here. Hashtag get screwed. Hashtag screw it forward. Screwball peanut butter whiskey. All of the peanut butter whiskeys are posers. Screwball peanut butter whiskey is the one and only original peanut butter whiskey. I've been releasing a lot of new content. I'm going to release some more content today. I'm going through and looking at some of my Twitch streams for my live shows that I've done lately. And some of those are going to be coming up. I'm going to put a couple of those on the YouTube to bank them here. I'm going to pick a couple of those now and edit them down to just the music and drop some of those on YouTube. So expect some more of those today. Obviously, Kill Tony is tonight, and tonight I'll be going live with Dave, Sarah, and a couple other guests on Kill every Monday on the Kill Discord YouTube channel. So go over to the Kill Discord YouTube channel. You can just search Kill Discord under channels, and you'll see it there. And go to killdiscord.com. Come hang out with us at the Kill Tony Discord if you want. I'm in there all the time. So, I think that's all I got for you. DramaCityProductions.com. Yeah, that's all I got. All right. In a world full of shitty people, don't be one of those people. Be a good person. Peace, bitches.